New business, 2 years old, 5 people today. We implemented a CRM and ATS system, back office, all on AI. I think we've touched on before, everyone's talking about it, it's not going away. So if any big corporate or any SME or whatever it may be is dealing in virtual assets or digital assets, that's a whole new regulator. AI and tech-enabled hiring, and of course virtual assets and digital assets, that's only going to keep growing. But we are building our own country and we are building our own ecosystem for the next 50 years. And we're proud of the UAE.
Welcome to another episode of GCC Tech Talks by 70 Experts, where we sit down with business and technology leaders shaping the region, discussing everything from transformation, talent, technology, AI, more around candid conversations. And today we've got a really good guest here, more focused on the talent side that's really booming in the UAE region, specifically in finance, with Oscar Orellana-Hyder.
That's
Good to have you on.
Yeah, thank you.
I
Thank you
didn't
for having
butcher
me.
the name too much.
Perfect.
Good.
Perfect.
And Si, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Welcome, Oscar.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Honestly.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
So we've kind of got a slightly different spin on this one. Less tech, more talent. We got introduced actually via Si probably a few months ago. But kind of would love to get a bit of backstory around what you do, what brought you to the region, you know.
Sure, of course. First and foremost, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for introducing us. It's always a pleasure to have these sorts of conversations, because before we came on camera, on screen, you mentioned that it's all about the humans and the interaction and the experience that you have even before you get here, potentially. Truth be told, I wanted to go to Hong Kong or Singapore, Asia. I had lots of friends and some family out Far East. My wife's Cypriot, so big fat Greek wedding and all that sort of vibes, and that was too far for mum, basically. So here's 4 hours from Cyprus, 4 hours from London is Cyprus. So the idea is we meet in the middle on a 4-hour flight. And we came for the Formula One in 2015 and landed in 2016. And it's look, I mean, where do I start? So much has changed. I think the population has evolved. It's improved. The talent has improved. To your point. I'm not going to even mention traffic. We're not going to talk about traffic because I feel like I do that every day. But yes, it's definitely, it's a real journey. And we can go into it in more detail. But
tell us a bit about your background, Oscar.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I started in the City of London just at the end of 2010 with what then was the largest financial services recruitment business in the City of London, called Goodman Masson. Was there just under 6 years, placing big four ACAs, so accountants from PwC, KPMG into banks, FTSE 100s, fintechs, for 6 years. And then, so that was kind of a good way to cut my teeth on newly qualified big four ACAs looking to make that first move into industry after 3 years of exams, 3 years of time in audit and transaction services, looking to make that move into whichever industry. And that was a good platform. I loved it. 20s running around London, amazing.
Yeah, I had something similar. So I grew up here, as you know, but my first real corporate role was, Liverpool Street, Central London, doing SAP recruitment for a big corporate organisation. Baby face, straight out of university. But,
you still got a baby face.
It's the moisturiser does wonders.
But I'm still on the dark side. You escaped it years ago. Yeah,
exactly.
No, Liverpool Street's great though.
Yeah,
Loads of fun.
It's good. My wife worked there for a long time, but she's actually in finance. She does, financial crime compliance, or some of the roles that you kind of step into a little bit here. But what do you do now? So that was London.
That was then. So I moved into the DIFC with a Fortune 500 monster US company that was very, very different. Good training, but very, very different sort of beast. Menlo Park headquartered. For 18 months, I did 6 years in a FTSE 250, again in the DIFC. Always around, why we're in the DIFC, always around regulation. and around, to your point, exactly right, around compliance, around risk, around finance, like qualified accountants, finance officers. So the 4 authorized individuals that you need to set up a license. I think that tells its own story, right? I think you've got some of the largest recruitment businesses in the world focusing on new entrants coming into the market. So the DFSA, the FRSA and the ADGM were like, hey, there's a flow of, back then probably around 80 to 100 new companies coming in every year in fund management, in asset management, investment management. We need them to get up and running. We need them to get the licenses. Please focus your efforts on, whoever it may be. Cordell Capital coming in, they need a head of compliance, they need a CFO, they need a risk officer to get the license. So that was a very simple, very straightforward, constant flow of leads and of requirements of people from the regulators themselves, which brand new into the region. I was like, how am I getting access to, imagine like, a kid who's just arrived in London, sort of stepping into the FCA, or was the old sort of the Bank of England, sort of like, hey, here's a list of firms, go for it. So in a weird way, it was like, wow, what you get amazing access quite quick in this part of the world.
Yeah.
You get, if you do the right things and you act a certain way of maturity, of sort of decency, of all the ethics and all the sort of stuff that Cordell stands for, the regulator really appreciates it, and they want to for you to do more. They want you to build the ecosystem.
And I think, just to kind of talk around some of the good stuff that you do, like you see that from the outside. You got something like 30,000 followers on LinkedIn, right? And you're pushing that, but you're promoting the work.
My closest friends on the internet.
Yeah.
It's hard, right?
But you've pushed kind of the message and the themes from the regulators into a wider audience and making more accessible, which I think is really important for them. And you're approachable, you're knowledgeable, I think is important when it comes to the recruitment.
I'm not paying you for this, am I?
I'm going to, I maybe it's the shorts that's really putting me on here, but
Friday afternoon, we've got to give them the.
Let's keep it professional, right? Let's keep it professional.
No, but so to get back on track very quickly, there was a small little $13 billion fund called ADGM that basically imploded when I first got here, and that was, I can't remember the amount of staff. It was in the DIFC, and it was on the regulator's watch, and that ruined a lot of people, a lot of families, and it also dented like investor confidence, like worldwide. So I'd speak to investors in the US and the UK. It's like, no, I'm not going anywhere near the DIFC. We've just had a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation fund blow up. Or they were on the cap table, blow up in the DIFC. Like, forget it. We don't trust the region. So that was in 2018. So the last thing they want is that to happen in the ADGM, in VARA, in whatever. So it's like MLRO, AML, KYC, bash over the head with this compliance. I did zero compliance in London, but here it's like, okay, we get it. Like it's a real must.
I think we were mentioning yesterday night as well on a different podcast. Regulation is so key here, and touching upon what Tom said. Like, you've done a fantastic job. Honestly, Oscar, you should be really proud of yourself. I've been following the journey for the last 2 years. Yeah, I know.
You can't take credit, I can tell you.
No. Honestly, Oscar, it's like, for you to take it, you literally took on a task that you've never done before. Try to adapt it in a way that you not only benefit the country that you've moved to, the region that you live in, but the people around you. You've tried to benefit some of the talent that comes in here. Sometimes I've seen stories where great talent comes here, they don't know where to look.
Sure.
They don't know where to go in order to get the right kind of environment.
It's not obvious. In London, we know exactly where to go.
Yes.
We've got our mates, we've got the Liverpool Street, we know, we've got everything. Okay, it's not accessible, but we know what buttons to press. Here, it's very opaque.
Yeah.
You don't know the names of the companies. You don't know the geographical locations. Like, so all I've tried to, and you're very kind, and I can't take compliments. This country's done a lot for me, my family. We've grown kids here. We've established businesses here. We employ people here. It's done a lot for me. So the only thing I can do is be a bit of a custodian. Say, look, build the ecosystem, grow the region. And that's something I'd like to add as well. Like I did recruitment in Saudi and Qatar and Kuwait and Oman, in other GCC countries from maybe 16 to probably about 18. And then come to 2019, I got asked to go into ADGM and Abu Dhabi, and that was a whole other story. But since 2019, we have only focused on the UAE. So we've nailed our geography. We only focus on Abu Dhabi and Dubai. And of course, there's elements of RAC that's interesting as well. But for us, the two financial centres that are core to us are DIFC, ADGM, and now VARA to a certain extent. But what I'm trying to say is we've focused on the geography that's given us so much. We're not chasing the next buck in Riyadh or wherever. We focused on the sectors as well. And we, after however many years, we finally think that we're starting to give back. Yeah.
Yeah. How long has the business been up and running then?
So Cordell's been just over 2 years.
Yeah,
so 2 years and 3 months.
Yeah.
Slow, steady, surely. But this is the thing. I think there are a lot of multinationals that almost treat this, and again, we were touching on it beforehand, right? That treat this region as a bit of an outpost, like they've got headquarters in Menlo Park in San Francisco, or headquarters in amazing like Liverpool Street offices, and Dubai is sort of a bit of an afterthought and a bit of a, okay, it's there. We're not going to really invest in the office or the people, or if it trucks along, great, but we're not. It's never going to be a shining star for us on the global map. And I've experienced that twice, right? Not knocking them; they're brilliant firms, but I wanted to build something local, homegrown, for the people, boutique. So we're only ever going to be 10, 12 people, just doing good business with good people.
And now is a great time, especially in the financial services sector, because there's a lot of satellite offices here that,
Sure.
I want to have an office in the UAE. So I put one in Dubai, I put one in Abu Dhabi. But companies are now actually seeing this as a true investment to get into the market and be part of that, that boom. I'd love to get your thoughts on kind of how that's taken off.
I think the UAE, and of course the GCC as well, but the UAE for this conversation has been a victim of its own success in that, and again, not bashing any particular nationality or whatever, but the stereotype is the Swiss bankers mentality of the briefcase guys that come with an open briefcase, expect it to be filled, and then go back to Geneva or Zurich or Zug or whatever, and that's it. Like no intention of commitment to the region, commitment to building something here. It's always been a Swiss guy that's in and out, and that mentality and that mindset and that sort of ethos is just not acceptable anymore. And that the government, the leaders, the different jurisdictions have been like, look, thank you for everything you've done for us over the last 50 years, but we are building our own country and we are building our own ecosystem for the next 50 years. And we're proud of the UAE, and if you want our business, then thank you. We're more than happy to keep that going, but you will have to have a presence in the ADGM, or you'll have to have some sort of entity here, ideally not a rep office, not a brass plate that we see in so many other jurisdictions. We want to build the people here. And the best ones that get the best returns or physical returns, ecosystem returns, are the ones that commit, that have the people that fill the schools, that buy the cars, that we were talking about real estate just before we got on, that invest here. And those are the ones that do sort of avail the government contract.
Yeah, you don't treat it as a quick buck. It's an all in, and if you go all in and commit to it, you get a lot back from the country.
Well, I was going to say, when you call a place home, once you make that statement, I think that's the statement that you have to make. Once you call a place home, that's when the open arms come out. I think that's the best way of putting it, Oscar. From what I've seen, most of the companies that I've committed to the region, that have basically set up office, employed local people, given back, should we say, to the community. Those are the people that I've been the most successful. Like Oscar. Oscar's a prime example.
And it's a really good point there in terms of anyone's definition of local people. I feel that big organisations that do invest their time in the universities, the schools, the different MBA programs within the universities, those who go to whichever local, there's so many good universities, I don't want to pick one, but Sharjah, whoever, help me out, King
Abdullah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And other NYU Stern, they've got the lycée and the one on Reims, the French uni as well. So the big multinationals that are going to these institutions and hiring Emiratis, UAE nationals, as well as a blend of expats who are growing the education ecosystem here. Again, I think they're really, really appreciated. And I think you look at the government entities and the schemes and the different tools of infrastructure, and they do get back what they put in those certain situations.
Yeah, I'll share a story actually. I was at the Microsoft event probably about 4 weeks ago, and one of the things that they said on stage, I think it was the vice president of Microsoft that came on, and they've invested quite heavily in Khalifa University in Abu Dhabi, and this year they had over 5,000 applications. They only took on 3% of those students.
Really?
Imagine 3%. 3%.
Which is an amazing, again, victim of their own success.
Yep.
Which immediately tells you they need more resources.
That's the first thing that they said on the stage. The plans have already been rolled out to build a facility to facilitate the numbers that I applied, basically.
Yeah, brilliant.
100%. You see it, talking outside finance, but in tech, in our world.
Yeah.
Yep.
The amount of big American.
By the way, it was AI courses basically. These are AI courses basically that were totally over this work.
Yeah,
Carry on,
amazing.
Tom. Sorry.
No, that's right. And talking about kind of the investment, there's a load of American software companies that are now building proper HQs here in the region, especially in Dubai, and the data centers that are coming over here.
Yeah.
It's now, how do we attract the right talent for these roles? Probably the complicated thing. I know a lot of people trying to move from the UK over here. You've obviously got homegrown talent, and it's juggling, okay, what's the right packages and the right attraction and the right talent that we need then to put into these organizations.
And that's changed a lot as well. Again, just before we came on, we were talking about the big government expat packages of the 90s and the noughties. I think this is nowhere near a hardship post, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nowhere near. So my father-in-law was in Riyadh in the 70s, 74 to 79. And as you can imagine, he had the huge 5-bed villa for 2 of them. They had 2 maids for 2 of them, 2 drivers for 2 of them, like ridiculous, like, please come and sort of, they don't need to do that anymore because, again, I don't want to bash UK or London, but it's the other way around. The flow is, our team get constant flow of people looking to move from all parts of Europe.
I was going to share a story about one of the big American software suppliers, the Databricks. We both know Databricks.
Soft spot in our heart.
Yeah, so very soft in my heart. I'm a partner as well. But yeah, Databricks, fly in, fly out. That was their mentality for the last, I think, about roughly give or take 18 months, roughly.
Sure.
They've just announced that they're setting up an office here. It should be up and running, hopefully, by the new year. And I think the team that was set up in the UK is going to move over here as well. So that fly in, fly out mentality doesn't exist anymore. It used to, but I feel as though the presence, like you said, Oscar, that presence, when they feel that presence, the support instantly comes. And I think that's so important. To have that presence is very, very important.
It's important to have people on the ground in meetings, going and connecting, right? It goes a long way in this region.
So simple. And also, I think if I'd started a country 50 years ago, and if I'd started a financial jurisdiction 20 years ago, I'd want to see the people. Like really simple thing, but I'd want to see the bankers. I'd want to see the investors. I'd want to see the lawyers. Like I want them in the room. I want them on the ground. Like I'm building all this for people to come. And if you look at, again, I appreciate it's Tech Talks, but if you look at DIFC 2.0, which is going to have a huge tech, I think they're building a whole tower dedicated to technology.
Well, the innovation hub in DIFC, I've been in there.
Yeah.
It's only like a small part of DIFC, because obviously when I first got here, I worked in DIFC. It's only a tiny little bit. 2.0, that it's going to be
massive.
it's going to be, compared to what they've got at the moment, the AI Innovation Hub that they've got in the DIFC, it's going to be, I think, 5 or 6 times bigger than
Innovation Hub's brilliant.
Yep.
But you're right, it's going to be huge. It's going to be state of the art. Everything's green. Everything's, light switches turn off when you walk out. There's going to be no plastic in the whole buildings. All this sort of very similar to ICD Brookfield. But I think, and they've got appetite for it. They've already. So to give you an idea, they launched Fund Hub, DIFC Fund Hub in January. It was already, there's 104 licenses in a relatively small floor, like a WeWorks for hedge funds and fund, nicknamed Fund Hotel, hedge fund hotel, right? So you could have your license, you could have your compliance, everything's outsourced, and you have a desk or a pod or a 3-person room. It's sold out in less than 3 or 4 months. They said we need a Fund Hub 2.0.
Yeah.
Because we've sort of, again, victim of our own success. So all the metrics and all the numbers, and we all read the same articles, we listen to the same people on the radio. It's all, again, fingers crossed, inshallah, as we say. It's not a bubble, right? A lot of people talking about AI bubble. I don't think there's an AI bubble at all either.
Well, if we touch upon that subject, if we may, Tom, with AI, how do you feel that AI may change the industry you work in? It's a broad question, so you answer it the way you like.
Yeah, for sure. And we were probably one of the ones. It was recruiters and lawyers that were probably the two main industries that were probably like, there'll be no headhunters, there'll be no lawyers. So it already has. So to give you an idea, new business, 2 years old, 5 people today. We implemented a CRM, an ATS system, back office, all on AI. So we've already got over 5,000 candidates and clients. We can pull up shortlists in seconds. We can speak to it, and it'll pick up keywords. It's brilliant. It's so efficient, and it also helps us a lot. So I think, and I've spoken about this a couple of times, it's going to improve efficiencies, and it's going to make our day easier and faster and quicker, and make room for other tasks. I hope and pray that it doesn't completely erase people like me, obviously, but I think that on our side of the fence, it's going to improve efficiencies. On the client side of the fence, yes, I'm a realist, and I completely appreciate and understand that there will be companies out there that no longer need that law firm to do those contracts or those decks, whatever. We don't need all those headhunters for our searches. It will still come around that, to your point, you want to see the people, you want to look into the eyes, you want to press the flesh, you want the guy that's operating the robot, behind the screen. Can he? I've read about hallucinations, through AI. Can he sort of, if the stuff hits the fan, have I got a human on the end of it to unravel it? So I'm a realist, and there will be elements of everyone's subsector that will be cut, but improved efficiencies, still very much operational humans behind it, and so far it's complementing what we're doing a lot.
Yeah, I think it's kind of human in the loop is when we talk about it in AI. So the AI helps you with certain things, but you still need you to go and deliver and be present and have that human aspect and understanding of what's going on in the world. You can't just make every decision from a machine. But yeah, if you're right, if it's going to stop you trolling through 1,000 CVs when it can surface the right ones at the right time who are available for that role, it's just helping.
And thank you. That's a really good point. To bring it back to the UAE and the GCC, in my previous shop, FTSE 250 business, we would have for one advert on our website, on LinkedIn or whatever, one advert that's duplicated, 4,000 to 7,000 applicants for one job.
Mental.
And this was in 2022. So it's probably multiplied since then. So it's impossible. Yeah. We don't advertise. It's pointless putting up adverts because no one's going to go through 4,000 or 7,000. I would not want any of my team to do that. So it's almost a waste of time putting them up because it's false hope to people who are either already here or people from other geographies. Whereas the reality is, and this is getting into the recruiter's mindset, as a long time ago, there will be 5 CVs that we send to the client. Chances are we probably already know 2 or 3 of them because we worked with them before, and then we'll find 2 or 3 others, and that will be it. As opposed to scouring the globe for these 7,000 people.
Yeah, especially in Dubai and Abu Dhabi in the region. Like, everyone's trying to come here.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't imagine putting a role out on LinkedIn now, and the amount of applications you would get would be silly.
Yeah. So
even if you had the perfect person apply
Yeah.
for it, they're never going to get a call.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Oscar, what's your feeling around the talent pool? Because I know when I first got here, the talent pool here, especially speciality skills, they were few and far between. And it was one of those scenarios where you entice that person to kind of leave where they are.
Sure.
Do you feel as though the talent within UAE has got better and there's far more to pick from, or do you still have to go, looking outside? And what is the preference as well from the client side as well?
It's a really good question. I get that a lot. The DIFC is 24 years old. The ADGM is 10 years old. I am of the a big believer that you eliminate certain aspects of risk by hiring people who are already here. They've already got the villa sorted. They've already got the visa sorted. They've got the kids in school who are happy. Hopefully the wife's happy. All of these elements, and there are more, they don't need to concern themselves when they're coming from another geography. So I am of the opinion, and I always have been, by the way, of exhaust what is here, what has moved here in the last 10 years, 5 years, whatever. Try your very best to find people here on the ground who can do the role. However, there are certain scenarios where it does not exist here. And that's because the nature of the structure, for example, there are some government entities, some sovereign entities in Abu Dhabi that they have built their structures on the Australian superannuation funds, the Canadian pension pots, the Hoop and the Case and the Ontario Teachers Plan. So they have headhunters in Australia and Canada finding people from those geographies. And that's a very specific example. And that's I completely understand that, and I would never sort of say, you can find someone in the DIFC. Yeah. It's just not the same. So on occasion, you do have to go overseas, but as a hiring manager myself, and we want to be an extension of the business and a true partner, I would always suggest try and find what you can here before going overseas, if you have to, and let us see what we can find for you here. And then if it's not good enough after a couple of tries, then okay, fine, we understand.
Okay. In response to that then, if say I had a friend in financial crime, say, in the UK, is very eager, his family is eager as well, to move over here to the UAE, what advice would you give to them? So my first and immediate reaction is, I would never tell anyone to leave a job. I'm never going to say to anyone, resign tomorrow, I'll find you something, because that's I can't do that, and I'm not.
Too much risk at that point.
Yeah, I just can't play God, and you add in the family and the wife to the dynamic. What I do say is, come for a working holiday. Bring a suit, bring a jacket, see if the family like it, see if you like it. It's very different to London and Singapore or wherever you've come from. It might not be for you. You might not appreciate it, and the depth of system, the depth of people, the depth of the different industries here are still quite shallow in comparison to hundreds of years of legacy in those other geographies, right? So I'd say come check it out first, and that in itself is the smallest bit of commitment to the region. Yeah. My clients ask me, what's their commitment to the region? And I can't say they've got a granny in Al Ain or an uncle in Ajman. It doesn't exist, right? The smallest element of commitment to the region is they booked a flight. They're here in a couple of weeks. They're staying here. They can meet you there. Just chat, have a chat in person, face to face.
It's really weird. I done exactly the same thing as Oscar.
So did I.
I came for the Grand Prix. Yeah. But we've been here quite a few times before. Obviously, my wife is her parents are from this region anyway. But it's the same thing. You come here, you actually realise actually I could live here. But you make sure you kind of do your research into certain aspects. How's life going to be here? How, if you've got kids, how are my kids going to settle in? What's the culture like here? Is there are there good schools here? Those kind of things. And I think you're absolutely right there. That's the only way you're going to really know if you're going to fit in here. And if it is for you, should we say?
Yeah,
as well.
there's so many communities as well, and it gets overwhelming. I think people get overwhelmed. They come here. Yeah. There's 1,000 schools. There's new schools being opened every day. There's, as you say, traffic everywhere, which you all know about, and stuck in most days.
I think to answer the second part of your question, a lot of people coming from those geographies, they haven't had exposure to, or they don't necessarily understand yet the full landscape of the different companies. So, today I think probably wrong with these numbers, a bit old, but Morgan Stanley's got 50 people. Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, the DIFC's got 100 people.
Yeah.
Like that's half the floor in Liverpool Street, right?
Yeah.
So you come from those geographies, you expect, I'm going to walk into a big name, a big brand, but they don't need you. They don't have the depth of talent here. Sorry, to come back to that first point, the local entities, the local banks, the local families, the local fund managers, the local entities, yes, of course, they're regional. However, we all know that us around this table, Emirates MBD have got thousands, in different geographies.
Yeah.
CBD, Commercial Bank of Dubai, again, has got many hundreds. So there is a lot of opportunity just in different other names that you may not have heard of in London, Singapore, or others. So to answer part of your question was that keep an open mind.
Yep.
Have a couple of layers of your search, because a lot of people come with it. Goldman Sachs, London. I'm going to walk into something tomorrow. Amazing. I speak to so many amazing profiles, and in other geographies, yes, there's a depth of a market, there's a depth of teams, and they probably can walk in. Here, it's still an evolving geography, a nascent financial services centre. It's not there yet. However, scratch the surface, other entities, and there is appetite in case by case, more local entities.
Where are you spending most of your time? Hedge funds, private equity, family offices, banks?
That's evolved over time as well. Not to bore you, but going back, it was so with Fortune 500s or with FTSE 250s, with big brands like big brands, right?
Yep.
So I had. So my previous company, the two main investors and shareholders were Schroders and BlackRock. So Schroders and BlackRock would an element of pressure to keep up contracts with the big banks in Saudi and the big bulge brackets and the Europeans and the big names. And yeah, of course, that worked to a certain extent on the big local ones. But it would be, for example, Emirates MBD would come in and say, we need 15 accounts payable or whatever it may be, or engineers, and it's like, it's volume and it's a lot, but it's quite low and it's a different type of search. Whereas Cordell, over time, 10 years, it's taken a long time, is trying to pivot itself more to the senior level of management, the directorship or C-suite searches within investment management or asset management. So local family offices, funds, which encompasses private equity, VC, hedge, private credit now is very au fait. Like private credit will have a spike for sure. So it's more investment management, asset management. So it's fewer placements, but it's more senior, and a lot more of it has started to become retained. Like these businesses are used to the New York model, because a lot of them have come in and they're like, hey, we pay our headhunters X percentage in New York. We're used to it. So it's and that ties into the quality of the talent. To your point earlier, is and I do like this expression, but then some people have said it's a negative. The trailing spouses.
Yeah.
So what happens is that the hedge fund manager comes, but then actually the husband or the wife has got a PhD in this, and she's starting this business, and she's doing that with a group of friends. It's like, wow, okay, so this ecosystem is bringing an awful lot more than just financial services.
Absolutely.
Like tangible product that's contributing to the ecosystem.
We had our kids in school in Surrey in the UK.
Yeah.
And there must have been 2 or 3 people that worked at hedge funds over there that all picked up move the hedge funds to the Middle East.
Sure.
You say it's not just the employees; it's whole families and expertise, and and the UAE does a good job of welcoming those businesses to come over, set up, and thrive. And probably for our listeners just listening in, starting a business yourself, running it. How is it starting a business? Kind of, is it easy? Is it hard? There's a lot of startups here.
It's a roller coaster, right? Like you guys know it. You've
I don't want to. We want your perspective. We can talk about this all day.
and there's a lot, and I take a lot of pride, and it is genuinely a privilege to be in my position because I enjoy it, and I appreciate the work, and I love the work I do. But my commodity is human beings, and that's horrible saying that they're a commodity like oil, gas, or energy. But human beings are the most volatile commodity in the world. You cannot predict the family, the home situation, the boss, the whatever it may be. So it can be incredibly volatile at times. However, this geography makes it, again, in my opinion, there's an awful lot of government schemes out there. There's some great platforms. We talked about Innovation Hub and the Hive and the DIFC. There's some great people that actually want to promote and want to do more. It's really infectious, and I think forgive me if I'm sort of drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, but it's a very collaborative environment, and it's a very sort of lift you up and go there to do this, or sort of my friend over here can help. As opposed to London, it always used to, people don't like to promote or don't like to sort of see success. And it was almost the opposite. Whereas here, again, 10 years ago, it was very simple, but it all came fit into place. And I think once you've got your ducks in the row, I think setting up a business here is relatively, don't come back to me and sort of shout at me, but it's relatively straightforward once you've got your trusted partners in each particular sort of service provider.
Yes, yeah. A lot of people we talk about this quite a lot, are eager to put a hand out and help here, which is great. But sometimes there are too many hands to put out, and it's finding the right people in your right network. And once you've got that, life becomes really good, and everyone's leaning in to help each other thrive, which is kind of one of the reasons I love the country, why I've been here for such a long time and come back to set up 70 Experts.
Yeah, I think the other thing I want to mention as well, and Oscar, I'm sure you'll agree with me, you actually see, you were talking about the training spouse, but I've seen some amazing stories where the spouse has come here, not necessarily known what he or she is going to do. Mm-hmm. But they've ended up doing something they probably dreamt of their whole life and never kind of took on the plunge. And the encouragement here and the change in thinking, it's encouraged here. And you're almost pushed into that way because it's like you think outside the box, and there's some. I could go on for hours about some of the amazing stories that have come out of the couples. Like I'm sorry, the partners, not the person that's actually initially got the job to come over here, and he's brought his family with him. The amazing stories come from the partners.
And I think other spouses and partners there's a lot of people doing little side jobs and gigs and startups, whether it's a clothing brand, whether it's a interior design. I think everyone kind of then wants to be part of that. What are you doing over there? I want to go do this.
To your point, I try my very best to remain as humble as I possibly can be. I would never have done this in London. Like I can tell you now for a fact, I would have trucked along big corporate red tape. I probably would never have dreamt of doing it in London because of what we just said. There aren't as many incentives from the government. There aren't as many support networks from different CSPs. There aren't communities like the DIFC. You've mentioned Innovation Hub, and I've sort of latched onto it. But there's so many other. Abu Dhabi, there's some phenomenal people. Hub 71, accelerators, sandboxes, all of this world that's like, let's build it together, which I think is brilliant.
Changing gears slightly. You released or have recently released your benchmark report.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Thanks for bringing that
That's
up.
all right, little plug.
Yeah, no,
if you
absolutely.
want to talk about the benchmark report.
So we do it twice a year. Why do we do it twice a year? Sort of almost selfishly and I think timely. November is a season where a lot of HR managers or planners or whatever they want to call themselves get headcount approval or get the org chart sort of going for next year, and they see sort of what's sort of hiring and firing and comp numbers, and this is the season to prepare for next year. So November we bring out one, and then we bring out other cycle around April, which again is bonus season, where a lot of people are very happy or they're not very happy. And they're like, Oscar's deck's just come out, let's have a flick through that, and let's sort of get so that those two spikes of the year, two different reports, and we always try and do a different report, different subsector, every report essentially. So this one was family offices. It came through us, and the rise of family offices, or the, how can I put it, the sort of above the parapet and the renaissance of family offices going way more public is evident in probably the last 2-3 years. I would say, and I had an intermediary, a sort of a local group, two brilliant Emirati lads who are an established, almost like a brokerage for their friends and their family offices. So they're clubbing deals together. They're not family offices themselves; they're a brokerage of sorts. But they said, Oscar, we've got loads of families. They want to know what they pay their chief of staff, what they pay their CFO. What is an MLRO? You know, all this sort of stuff. Like we're trying to formalize and we're trying to come into the ADGM, but we've just been told we need a risk officer. Like, what is a risk officer, and how much we pay? So this came to us, and we said, well, we're putting it together anyway for these guys and a group of guys. So we were like, why don't we formalize it? And why has it come around again? Sort of pre that conversation with that group, a lot of what we've talked about previously. Private credit, hedge, PE, VC, all these new asset classes from Europe, Asia, wherever, they're coming here and they're like, okay, my job in the big corporate is good. I'm trucking along, but I've heard of, some big family that owns Toyota or some big family that owns Porsche in the region or sort of there's some sort of Majid Al Futtaim on the side of a mall, and it's sort of the sort of the ding, ding, ding starts, and it's like, If I left my big corporate private credit job and joined a Carrefour owner or whatever it may be, like what are the sorts of numbers that I could achieve? And it's as simple as that. It's not rocket science. And some people will be very surprised by the report. Some people will be very sort of pleasantly sort of shocked by it. Still a very evolving geography, still a nascent geography. We're not as developed in compensation tools as the US or big sort of depth of.
And I think it's important that you're doing it because you're starting it now, and it'll be really interesting in 5-10 years to see that change in data and how it's evolved over time.
Yeah.
How do people get the benchmark report? It's the easiest way.
Yeah. Reach out, say hello. Like it's on our website as well. Like there's a link to it on our LinkedIn.
We'll put your LinkedIn in your website and the show notes as well.
And that's probably another thing. We're not a big corporate engine that we don't fire this out to thousands of people. We personally send it from me, and people are like, oh, you sent it from your signature. It's like, yeah, like we're a human business. Like I wanted to send it to you, like it's not like an info act sort of thing.
And we know you, so before we met, I could pick up the phone. You'd be happy to chat.
But
Oscar's always happy to chat.
Always happy to chat. I think there are so many, and I've been in those businesses as well. There are some really good companies doing good work. They're almost again a victim of their own success. They've grown. They've got 100 people now, 100 recruiters running around the DIFC and all this sort of stuff. And you start to get, me personally, when I was looking to come here as a job seeker, right? You start to get lost in these big corporates. So we want that connection. We only ever want to be a boutique. We want to do, as I was describing, hopefully more senior work with building businesses. But we're humble and we're startups. So I've got a friend who's like, place my CFO, and by the way, place my EA or my office manager. It's like, yeah, of course. Like you're a good guy. I know that you're going to treat the people well. I know that you're going to pay them on time. Like, you're going to be good to them. Happy to. And that's
It's your brand, your reputation at the end of the day.
That's our policy, right? Good people doing good business, building the ecosystem is what we're all about.
I've been hinted behind the cameras that we are up on time in 1 or 2 minutes. So one question we ask all our guests.
Yeah.
What changes do you see in the GCC region over the next 12 to 18 months that leaders and business owners need to prepare for?
That's a massive question for a couple of minutes, isn't it?
You focus it on.
I told you could talk.
Yeah. You can make it very specific to your area.
Yeah, I think we've touched on it before. Everyone's talking about it. It's not going away. I think it's the automation. I think it's improving efficiencies. I think it's the AI in funds, in the human capacity. I think 18 months, 24 months down the line, stuff like my report will start to include different tech roles in these big businesses, because we're only seeing more and more demand for. We spoke about Rust earlier. I've got no idea what Rust is, but we're seeing more and more demand for different machine learning or tech-enabled functions in AI in investments.
And the more that comes around, the more regulation needs to be put in place as well, compliance and governance. So, they all interlink. The technology and the data goes to the business roles.
Very good point. So if any big corporate or if any SME or whatever it may be is dealing in virtual assets or digital assets, that's a whole new regulator. Yeah. Like, if you're a FTSE business and you're in the DIFC, like, we don't care. You have to have a VARA license. And in the VARA license, again, you will have to have compliance, finance, risk, ops. You'll have to have a whole team that understands the virtual assets. If you're a retail business, retail CFDs or NC4s, whatever, you have to have virtual asset professionals looking after that platform as well. So maybe a double pronger to answer your question. AI and tech-enabled hiring, and of course virtual assets and digital assets. That's only going to keep growing. We've got Binance Blockchain Week or something this week. And I feel that this region is only going to keep growing in those two.
You got Abu Dhabi Finance Week next week as well. So it's going to keep you busy, I assume.
Yeah. Bill Gates is opening it this week. So me and Bill rubbing shoulders. Come on, Bill.
You go back over there. So, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. It's been awesome to have you on.
Yeah, it's been fun. Appreciate it.
I just want to say thank you for coming on the show, Oscar. And you've done an amazing job. Last 2 years, mate, honestly, like, I've watched the journey, right? And I'm so proud of you.
Don't believe everything you read on LinkedIn, right?
If we keep complimenting him,
one day he'll take it through the doors. No, it's a team.
It's well deserved, though.
It's
well
a
deserved.
team, it's family. It's like, but I've got a lot of support around me. Like, there's a lot of good people who I will never mention because they want to remain private and they're in the industry. But there's a lot of good people who have helped me over the years in different pockets. But the ultimate aim from everyone is just to grow the ecosystem with good people.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much.
Not at all.
That's been
Pleasure.
Awesome.
Cheers,
guys.
Fun. Thank you very much.
Done.
That's a cut.
I can see you waving. I need to finish. Can we get a picture quickly?